food to people and sets his clock to pray for his wife.
Yeah. Hallelujah. Woo!
Because when they know that we're moving into a time that's not about us, it's about everybody around us. How many percent of my time is on me or on the things of the Lord? And to come to a place where it's not about us anymore at all, but about Him. And laying our lives down to the point where can I spend 98, 99% of my time serving or doing whatever He wants rather than what I want. And that's the beginning of the kingdom of God moving into the earth. And so with the struggles and what I've seen, just watching it from a distance, it's been an honor to see Jesus in Him.
Oh! Hallelujah.
The first time I saw him, I thought he's not an American. I'm trying to figure out who he is. He brought me came here and he danced. But it was like watching an angel. And I thought there's a great calling on his life. I mean, you're thinking the mind of the Lord. And he comes and brings me a bag. I had a word for you, something about his dance. I'm trying to remember what it was. But he brought me a gift. He said, you're going to love what's inside that bag. Well, I didn't look inside of the bag, but all that week I'd been talking to the Lord about Israel. I said, don't you think it's time for me to go back to Israel? What do you think, Lord? I mean, I have the money to go. But you must go in the timing or you can really miss the vision of what God has. And I didn't look at the bag for 4 or 5 days. Now, I'm talking to God for a whole week. I've got a warfare going on here about going to Israel. And inside of the bag was an oven mitt, a pot holder, and a package of table napkins, and Israel was printed all over it. It had Israel all over it. You understand? Even in the colors of blue and white. And then someone else came by my house and wanted to give me a picture. I thought, I don't have another space on the wall. They said, look at this picture. And there was the western wall. But they'd had a vision and they had cut one of the blocks out of the wall and you could see through it to the dome that was there on the mountain. Well, I took a picture down that I had of Jacob. Isaac blessing his son Jacob. And I hung it there on the wall. I mean, I'm talking to the Lord about Israel. So he came with 3 or 4 confirmations. A picture, the pot holder, the blue and white napkins. Was this during Yom Kippur? No, this was during the Passover. You brought it, wasn't it? And I thought, well, maybe he's Jewish. And then when he was talking, I'm trying to define what nationality is he. We see one thing, but God is trying to show you the character. Yeah. He's in a person and the work that he's doing, what he's maturing. You're looking at a girl that was afraid to go next door to knock on the neighbor's door. You're not getting on an airplane and going to the next city, honey. Maybe I could go in the back door. I had such a shyness about me. I'm not getting on an airplane, going anywhere. I've lived in 75 nations. Some of those trips were 13 and 14 hours to get there. And so one of my favorite songs is, Don't Fence Me In. Give me land, lots of land under starry skies above, but don't fence me in. Or those faraway places with those strange sounding names are calling me away. But you got an unusual anointing on your life. My advice to you is to spend a lot of time in the presence of the Lord. Just wait upon Him. You know, don't find it so much entertaining friends, or, I mean, they might want to take you out a lot, but get grounded first. How long have you been saved?
2006.
Since you came back to the Lord, how long ago was that? In prison?
Yeah, it was
6 years?
2006.
2017?
No.
2006.
2006.
2006. Well, I'd say you're a little grounded. But listen, spend some time. Now, when I say time, I try to give the Lord an hour every evening. I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll get the Bible out and pray and read and study and talk to the Lord for an hour. But for years, I used to spend 7 and 8 hours a day, not going out of my room, just praying and praying and praying until I entered into the realm of the heavenlies. Didn't quite understand it. Tried to talk to people about it, didn't understand it. I mean, I knew there was another realm, but this realm we weren't taught. I grew up in Pentecost. We believed in speaking in tongues. We believed in dancing. We believed in prophecy, the blood, you know, the things that you need to believe in. My father, we had altar calls until 2 and 3 in the morning all the time. We traveled 100 miles to have church on Sunday, one way. Many for years, not just for a little while. And I thought, well, that was the way Christians were supposed to pioneer. My father pioneered a lot of churches. And he had 9 children, and I thought the first 5 were going to be his baseball team. And I said to the Lord one day, why didn't you call my brothers to be preachers and my sisters? He said, I did, but you answered. Don't you like that? I did, but you answered. So you wait upon the Lord. Say, Lord, I'm here until I want to hear some direction. You've got some word in you. I mean, you've got that brokenness inside of you. And He'll give you a trip to Israel real fast. He'll escort you to the airport. And it'll be the change of your life. Okay? There was a moment of eternity here. How many felt it? That's what God's all about, is eternity. Heaven is eternity. And that's what we're to bring into the service, is eternity. The eternal things. It's like a moment in your life. Think about it. This has been one moment in your life today. You can all go home anytime you want to. A moment. Let's see if we can get a song out of that. A moment of eternity. Give me a minor key, please. A moment of eternity. Eternity in a moment. A moment of eternity. Eternity in a moment. A moment of eternity. Eternity in a moment. And that's what heaven is all about. From glory to glory, He's changing me. From glory to glory, He's given me new eyes to see. From eternity to eternity, He's changing me. That's what heaven is all about. Now I decree, and you're already going to start to see visions, things you're not familiar with, but read the book of Revelations and the book of Ezekiel and the Song of Solomon. These books go together. 24th chapter of Matthew, the Song of Solomon, Ezekiel, and the book of Revelations. They're mystery books. You try to figure out those living creatures. I heard Jimmy Swaggart say, here's what he said: those living creatures, whatever they're about, I don't know. They hold the mysteries of God. They take to nations every day. Oh, hallelujah. There's a river of glory here today. So we wait on you, Lord. We wait on you, Lord. We wait not as those that have no hope, but we wait on you, Lord. We wait, we wait. Hallelujah. We wait on you. Thank you, Jesus. He never slumbers nor sleeps. He never slumbers nor sleeps. He's a God of our time. He's a God of all people. There's a river, listen, let it come on your voice, it'll come. It's way down inside of you, God, let it come. Let that river come on your voice. It's got a sound of eternity. These are the sounds that are in heaven. My God and my King, you are everything. All that I've waited for, all that I need. Jesus, eternal one. There's a mountain we're climbing. There's a mountain we're climbing. There's a sound like a rushing mighty wind. It's going to take you where you've never been. What your heart is longing for, what your spirit is cried out for. He said he chose not Joseph, not the tribe of Ephraim. He rejected the tent of Joseph, but he chose Judah. Tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved. And he built his sanctuary like the heights, like the earth which he has established forever. you want to describe the sea of glass? It's singing in the heavens. Isn't that wonderful? Everybody's walking around speaking a mystery, and I'm trying to figure it out. Till I saw an open heaven one day, and it was like glass. I could see we were all dancing, worshiping the Lord, and I saw these feet over my head, and they brought the sea of glass into the service. Our dance brought it in. And I've seen those eyes of the living creatures in people's palms. And I've seen them in their backs. I was seeing everything. I could see into the heavens. The glory of the pearl, the glory of the gold, the glory of the song, the glory of the Lamb. You see, they have bedrooms in heaven. Some of you didn't know it in your mansion. It didn't say there wouldn't be any night there. It said there won't be any night in the New Jerusalem. I didn't realize that one day till I read it over and over. It'll be night in the new kingdom. New heaven and new earth, but it won't be in the New Jerusalem because He's the light, day and night. Now, some of you have got the look of the church on your face. That's what the Lord is looking for. He's looking for the face of the church in the earth. And you know, if you talk about something enough, you'll look like it. You ever seen husbands and wives who are so close they begin to look like each other? Because they became one. And the Lord is wanting us to become one with Him. Oh my. We can have Beethoven in church. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Wonderful Jesus. You are my God. Oh, my King. You're all I've ever wanted. You're everything. There's no one like you can do what you do. You're Jesus, Jesus. Oh, how wonderful. You're my delight. Oh, what a sight. I've never seen you like this before. You're the door of the sheepfold. Heaven to me. Oh, I can see, I can see, I can see Jesus. You know what I just saw? He's serving cupcakes to us. I just saw that. Green and yellow cupcakes. Wait till He shuts something down just for you.
Hallelujah.
Wow.
Just for you. I'm saying this again. I've told you this story when I asked the Lord if we could have roses for opening night of our camp service. Could we afford? I said, Lord, can we afford one vase? One vase. He shut down the whole forest and sent me 900 roses. They brought the roses to me because the electricity went out and they couldn't keep the roses there any longer. I only asked Him for a bouquet. He shut down the whole forest.
Hallelujah.
He said, you want to see my hand work? You hold on to my hand. It's working.
Wow.
From glory to glory.
Yeah.
He's changing me. Now, I planned to stop the service, Jim, before the brother took over the microphone.
Hallelujah.
Because we had reached a place in the Spirit. Come on, I'm talking to you.
Hallelujah.
We had reached a place in the Spirit. But when the brother came up here and started talking again, I realized the Lord wasn't through.
That's right.
And a lot of people want a drive-through service.
Not gonna get it here.
Yeah, they want to get a drive-through shot now.
No way.
Band-Aid. And
Hallelujah. Sister Ruth, earlier when you said something about fragrance, you remember last week when you were telling us about the carnations and how they smelled?
yes.
Okay, well, Sunday is somebody's birthday. And so I got this bouquet of carnations and surrounded them with sunflowers. And these carnations smelled so heavenly.
Yes.
And when you mentioned that today, I smelled that smell in here for quite a while. It smelled like those red carnations.
Carnations have an unusual, they always smell of the Lord.
Yeah, they smell.
I know roses are wonderful, but carnations, you know, they use them a lot in funerals, but it's like the Lord has come in. Smell that fragrance. I smelled them like oranges last weekend. Like oranges. And I'm talking to this brother, and he opened his mouth, and he had a great big orange in his mouth. And I only saw part of the peeling removed from the orange. And I knew he's got fruit that's coming in his conversation. Fruit. Fruit. See, our words should be like fruit to others that they can eat it. Yes, he said, and this is what happens in real worship. He creates a fruit in your mouth. He said, I create the fruit of your lips. It's not anything you do, he creates it. So listen, if you don't dance very much, go home and get in front of your mirror. There's nothing wrong with this. See yourself dancing. See yourself praising God. See yourself bringing in the ark of the Lord. The presence of the Lord. That's what David did. You got to see this. When the Spirit of the Lord came upon him that day and he came down the street, he was in his priestly clothes, not his kingly clothes. He knew there was no power in the king's robes. And the Bible said he fed Israel with 3 little items. A piece of this and a piece of that and a piece of this. A piece of bread, a piece of meat, and it talks about raisins. We don't really know if that was wine or real raisins. But he fed the whole nation with just a handful of food that day. That was all he had. It multiplied. Because his dance pleased the Lord. It was his dance. It's your dance that's going to release things in your life. It's your dance that's going to bring in the presence of the Lord.
Hallelujah.
I don't know why he loves it. I don't know why he loves you screaming your head off and clapping your hands and making melody and getting drunk and falling in the floor. Doesn't seem right for a king or queen to me. But he loves it when you praise him with all your might. And we had a man to come into our service one day. He was from another denomination, and Ruth was having people to give a little testimony of what they felt during the worship. And he became like a pretzel. He got up there and he said, well, it was like, and he began to bend this way, and I can't do it too well, and this way, and this way, and he said it was like milk and honey tabernacle music.
Wow.
I never heard that before. Milk and honey. Milk and honey. That means you come into the land of promise. You understand the A and amens of who you are. And when you're screaming your head off, I wanted to do something last Sunday and nobody else, everybody's sitting there like they've been in the morgue somewhere. And Pastor was preaching a message that was alive. And I don't know what God has given him recently, but he's had a shot of something. And he was preaching, and he would look like another person from another world. And it took all it was in me to hold on to that seat and not get up. But I wanted to get up and said, yes, brother, and I was going to dance all the way across the front of that podium and all the way back across.
Do it, sister.
And I did it one day, because I saw the horses come into the meeting. They came right up beside me. I saw all 4 horses, 8 feet. There they were, and they were doing this. They were wanting to move. God wanted the Spirit to move. He wants the Spirit to move in the church. Don't you understand? If you went to the ball game with your 9-year-old son and you cheered him on, he usually hit a home run. Remember when he was in the little leagues? You went over there to cheer him on, even though he couldn't play very well, because you wanted him to win. And God has already won. And that's why you're cheering him on. And that's why you do something different. Hallelujah. I took my tambourine away, then they took it away from me. I couldn't play that anymore in church. So our pastor put his in a zip-up bag and took it. And I knew when he unzipped that bag that we were going to have revival. And we used to have it on the streets of Jerusalem. We used to have it crossing the borders. We had it one day when they were checking our passports because we were missing one. He said, all right, we're going to put up a decoy. And you can't do that in Jerusalem, but they did. They never knew they were missing a passport. We went in and formed our arms in a line and danced across the front of those men back and forth and kept blessing Israel. And he counted those passports 20 times and never knew one was missing. Because we had the Spirit brought into that room as a decoy. And he said that to us. Our pastor said, we better do something or we'll be here all day long. They won't let you go anywhere with that missing passport. And the girl had dropped it in the bus and didn't know it down beside the seat. He counted them 6 times. He finally gave up and gave us our passports. Told us to go on. You don't get what I'm saying. We were at a checkpoint. This is when they used to check you all the time when you went in from one city to the other. And God is checking. He's making a list. He's checking it twice. He's going to find out who's dancing for him. Jesus is coming to town.
Amen.
He's making a list. He's checking it twice. He's going to find out who's dancing for him. Some of you think I'm a little crazy. I am. That's right, brother. Look. He told me I was a camel coming out here. You know about a camel, do you? He told me that when I came out here. Sister Ruth prophesied to me, you're a camel. She said, I don't know how to tell you this vision. It's not very lofty. She said, I see you're a camel going to Arizona. You wonder why I keep you here so long? Because I got lots of water. Camels can go for 2 weeks without refilling. You want me to keep you here until next week? I know about the Lord, and I know about a week in His presence. You can go home anytime you want to. Jesus, what a wonder you are. What a wonder you are. What a wonder you are. And so Chuck Pierce gets this word 2 years later about camels. And they send me his information, and I'm still trying to find out who this camel is. His word was, the camels are coming, and you're looking at one right here. You probably one too, Jim. The Lord said here, you're one of the camels. Did you know the Midianites, that was their weapon that they used against the Israelites, the camels. They didn't know how to fight them because they had something that would move faster than they could run. And God's going to use you to water many places. How many know what I'm saying? Shall we walk them to the door? I'm living for the day when God has some overnight services for about a week. Yes. We're going to wait on the Lord because listen, he said, go there for 10 days now. I'm coming. I'm going to do something. But you go there and wait 10 days. They didn't know if it was going to be the first day, the second day, the 9th day, or the 10th day. Come on. And we want a McDonald's drive-through. Have you ever put mustard and mayonnaise on salmon?
Yes.
Anybody ever done that?
Yes. Yes.
I did it the other night.
It's wonderful.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I put a little deal on top of that. And I thought, well, it's not enough, so I pulled the pan back out of the oven. I grated up some onions, put it back in. No, it's not. And then I put some garlic on it. Then I put some butter on it. Oh, I was hoping that salmon would last a while. Wasn't it good? It was so good. God wants you to taste and see that He is good. 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 The day is going to come when you're going to taste the honey in your mouth. You're going to describe the Lord in a way you have never seen Him before. Hallelujah. Well, now listen, I don't have to pay to this room, but it's been given to me for 16 years.
Praise God.
Yeah. This is the 4th location I've had without charge. Been given to me around this city. When I came here 22 years ago, the Lord said, I want you to have a worship service every week. And I started it in Pat Macero's church on 51st and Greenway. Isn't that a nice name, Greenway? And then we got another one in somebody's home. Then we went up on 51st. Then we went down to Camelback. And we asked this man that owned this big business building. Here's what we said to him. We called him up. Would you be willing to rent this building for $100 a month? I could hear him swallow all the way through the phone. He said yes. 2 years. Yes. Air conditioning and all. Toilets, coffee pot, and all. You gotta ask the Lord. He said, ask of me, and I'll show you great and mighty things that you know not of. Hallelujah. Now y'all need to go, because traffic gets bad in a little while.
Sister Ruth, could I share a vision I had about the American flag and Israeli flag?
Where'd you see it?
When we were worshiping around and around and around, and what I saw was that a great storm had come, and the 2 flags were down in the mud in Israel, and they were being trampled on. But I saw the Lord suddenly, like through our praises, He was using our praises to wash the flags. And then I saw as they were washed, it's like He was sewing them together with a golden cord. A golden cord. He was sewing them together. It's like they were one flag. And I felt like he was raising them on the highest heights in Israel. Oh!
I believe that.
Yeah, that He was raising them even up on top of Mount Hermon. Woo! Yeah. Yeah. But that it was the flagstaff, the pole, was one of the cedars of Lebanon. And I just saw the 2 flags as one. And the Lord spoke to me about what I was seeing. He says, though the vision tarry, wait for it.
Do you know we sang 1 or 2 lines about America merging with Israel today in our new song?
Yeah.
We haven't done that in a long time. Yes. How America was going to stand with Israel.
Amen.
God's going to make it so. Did you know that that's the reason why God has not brought disaster upon this nation?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
We do
Because
know
we've
that.
helped Israel.
Exactly. Yeah,
We do know that.
You have to know that there's a reason why it could be worse.
yeah,
We've done horrible things in this nation.
yeah. And the Lord is gonna supernaturally put together a group of people who are willing to go and worship and pray all over Israel. That there will be no fear in those 12. And that God is just gonna supernaturally put this together.
All right, now, how many of you want to go to Israel? Well, you got to save all those little handshakes or there's little extra money that comes into you. And here's what I did. God gave me a little bit of money and I sowed it in the right place.
Yes.
And I've lived in Israel. We had 13 houses there at one time. You try to pay rent on 13 houses and your biggest offering is $45 on a Wednesday night. We had those houses for years. God took care of us to have a place there because it's the apple of God's eye. And you certainly want to go there. How many have not been to Israel? Jesus. I guess we'll have to spend a while praying, won't we? You need to go even if you take 2 or 3 and go up together. Backpack. Stay in the hostels.
Yeah.
We've gone twice, and both times we got our tickets the week before and we were there. You have to have your passport.
I'm telling you, I've gone the next day. God spoke to me on Sunday morning and the tour was leaving the next day.
Wow.
And he gave me the $2,500 by the next day. Put your hands up. I'm going to pray right now. God, I speak a release over these people. A release of finances. A release of faith. A release, Lord, that nothing, they'll go home and get a suitcase started. And don't get a great big one. You won't have time to change clothes that much. Just take what you'll be comfortable in, and it's wrinkleless. Wrinkleless. Something that's wrinkle-free. And some good walking shoes, honey. You're not going to parade anything. You're going to celebrate the blessings of the Lord and what God's going to do. Honey, it's going to end up there. It started there. It's going to end up there. So you might as well get used to it. God, I just decree the money, a vision, a love in their heart for you, Israel. Love, such a love that if they don't go there, they don't want to have their next breath. Such a love like David. He said, may my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth, and may my hand lose its cunning, is what he's saying, its usefulness. If I forget Israel, and God's going to put a little money in your hands, if you sow it, and the best, if you want to get God to move his hands, start taking care of widows and orphans. I'll tell you, he will take care of you. That's where it is with God. Helping widows and orphans. All right, the Lord bless you. I hope you won't be upset with me for keeping. You didn't have to stay. You can go anytime. I don't have any problem with that. Hallelujah. Let's come again, be a blessing, and open to God and see visions. And let the Lord do the stretching that you can birth and bring forth in Jesus' name. Amen.